First story. Entitled Ex Contacted Me After 16 Years, Demanding I Raise Her Son After Her Husband Abandoned Them. My delusional sister took her side. After I refused, they targeted my fiancée, telling her that I cheated on her. Then, they went to her house to assault her. I want to preface this by saying that I have no intentions of getting back with my ex, and I'm in a very happy relationship with my now fiancé. And I'm sorry this is long. I just wanted to add all the context, and I'm not the best with words. I 46M married my ex-wife 45F when we were 26 and 25 respectively. At that time, we were both on the fence about having kids. I knew since college that I wanted to retire early, and my dream of having financial freedom was what really made me realize that kids didn't fit into the life I wanted. I was trying to find the right time to talk with her about it, but over the next few weeks, she started dropping hints that she wanted kids. She started showing me photos of her friends' kids, commenting on our nieces and nephews, joking about her getting pregnant that one freaked me out, and even buying me a book on the joys of fatherhood that she thought I'd find interesting. I sat her down and asked her if she wanted kids, and she admitted that over the years she had grown to want a family. We had a conversation about it, and I realized that neither one of us was going to change our minds. I didn't want to keep her from what she wanted in life, so I brought up divorce. She really didn't want a divorce and kept trying to get me to want kids, but I stuck to what I wanted, and we ended up separating. I obviously still loved her, but that's why I wanted to divorce. We were still young, and she could find someone to have the family she wanted with. I didn't want her to resent me for forcing my life choices on her. Even after I filed for divorce, she still didn't agree with me and dragged it out as long as she could. So the divorce took almost 2 years. I dated over the years, but never really found someone that I could see myself sharing the rest of my life with until I met my now fiancé 4 years ago. Apparently, my ex-wife struggled with dating as well and hasn't remarried yet. She has a son, but the kid's dad isn't in the picture. She recently reached out to me and asked if we could meet to catch up. I talked with my fiancé about it, and she thought it'd be a great way to clear up any bad blood between us, so I agreed to meet up with her for coffee. Things seemed to be going well until she brought up her son. She asked me if I was willing to be a part of his life as a masculine influence, and I told her I was glad that she was able to have a child, but that it still wasn't something I was interested in. She tried to change my mind by saying that we could be a family again. She kept trying to convince me, and I kept trying to change the subject. I admit I got frustrated because things weren't going as I hoped they would, and I told her that I was happy with my fiancé's name, and that I was not interested in her. She started to insult my fiancé, so I left. I thought what happened was crazy. When I agreed to meet with her, it never even occurred to me that she might want to get back together considering how long it's been, and I'm not single. She kept messaging me, so I blocked her, and I don't plan on talking with her again. I was talking with my sister and her husband about it, and they said that while I'm totally right for rejecting her now, that it was an move on my part to divorce her in the first place, and that I was now being an again by not being a part of her kid's life. They both agreed that my ex was right for wanting to work it out. They said it's my fault that her child doesn't have a father, and that if I had given having kids a chance, I would have changed my mind. I just don't agree that kids are something one should compromise on. I just don't see how it's possible for it to not be a bad situation for everyone involved that breeds resentment. I don't know my ex's child at all, and I don't agree that it's my responsibility to step up just because his biological dad didn't. I asked some other friends and family, and they agreed with my sister. So now I'm not sure if what I did was wrong or not, and I was just wrongly justifying it to myself. TLDR. I divorced my wife after we fell on different sides of the child-free fence. I'm currently engaged, but my ex reached out and wanted to meet up so that she could apologize for how she treated me during and after the divorce. She instead tried to get me to agree to being a masculine influence in her kid's life, but I declined. My sister and Bill think I'm wrong for refusing to be a part of the kid's life, and that I was also wrong for divorcing my ex in the first place. My mom and some other family and friends agree with my sister. Comments. Heathily 73. Not wrong. You did the right thing by divorcing over having very different expectations for your lives. If you divorced her over you not wanting kids, I can't understand why she would think that you would want to or be willing to fill a fatherly role with the kid she did end up having with someone else. Your sister and Bill are nuts. Kids are not something to compromise on. They are a 2 yes, 1 no situation. OP. She used my social media posts of me with mine and my fiancé's nieces and nephews as proof that I wasn't against kids. I like kids. I just don't want any of my own. She thought I had changed my mind about kids because of the posts and said I was being a hypocrite by refusing to be in her son's life, the way I was in my nieces' and nephews' lives. What they were arguing is that if I hadn't divorced my ex-wife, she could have convinced me to have kids, and then her kids would have a father figure. I was the one who pushed for divorce and broke up our potential family. Susie Freckleface. Upcoming gross and sensitive alert. Turn away if you are sensitive. Hopefully, there is zero chance you knocked her up. Could she have turkey basted on a spent condom or something? Have a lovely remarriage, and treat your fiancée like she is your only love. That little teat meeting up with your ex did cast a shadow in her mind. Help that shadow dissipate for good. Yes, low contact with the others forever. OP. We divorced 16 years ago, and her son is 11, so there is no possible way he could be mine. Thank you for your concern, but my fiancé is fine. No shadow was created. We are both very secure in our relationship, and she was the one who encouraged me to meet with her, so she could apologize to me for how she lied and talked SHT about me. Even though that's not what ended up happening, my intentions were clear and never changed. I'm about 98% sure about who the kid's father is, and if I'm right, then I don't really blame him. I obviously feel bad for the kid, but he was, in my books, still a kid as well. The guy I think is the father is currently about 30, I think, but he was a recent high school graduate when my ex got pregnant. My ex and him got engaged. He moved away suddenly, and nobody could get a hold of him, and then it came out that my ex was pregnant. He was in a trade apprenticeship program before he left, but I don't know where he is or how he's doing now. Consensus is overwhelming. Not wrong. Update. So, some things have happened. My ex-wife somehow got a hold of my fiancé's phone number. She contacted her yesterday and made false accusations that I cheated on her when we met up for coffee. Obviously, my fiancé didn't believe her and just blocked her number. This morning, my sister showed up uninvited to my fiancé's house with her kids, demanding to talk. We don't live together, and I was not there. My fiancé originally wasn't going to let them in, but my sister sat on her porch and refused to leave. It was cold and windy, and the kids didn't have coats on, and since it's not the kids' fault, she ended up giving in. She put on a show for the kids and made some coffee to prepare herself for whatever SHT my sister was going to say. My sister started a whole spiel about how, if she, my fiancé, really cared about me, and not just my money, she would do what's best for me and leave. My sister claimed that since I'll always be connected to my ex, I will be forever unhappy if I'm with anyone else. Apparently, if my fiancé doesn't leave me, it's proof that she's only with me for my money, and that it's obvious that my ex and our child, which, WTF, it's not my kid, would actually use the money in a godly way. My fiancé laughed in my sister's face and just stared at her until she left. My fiancé and I are both a little confused by what she said. I am better off financially than my fiancé, but not by that much. I'm also not religious, so even if I did get back with my ex, me and my money would still not be godly. We know she's crazy, but again, why did she think her plan would do anything? After my sister left, my fiancé called me and told me what happened. I called my sister to tell her, 1. To leave my fiancé alone, and 2. That she was crazy and delusional. She defended herself by saying that she knew what was best for me and was just protecting me from going through with the wedding since my fiancé was obviously taking advantage of me, and that since I'm under her spell, I can't protect myself. I again told her she was crazy and delusional, and I told her that I never wanted to hear from her or anyone who's siding with my ex again, and to please pass that message on. Every time a family member or friend messages me about it, which has been 6 just since this morning, I ask them what their thoughts on the matter are, and if they side with my ex or sister, I block them. TLDR. My ex somehow got my fiancé's number and tried to convince her that I cheated on her. My fiancé blocked my ex. My sister showed up this morning at my fiancé's house demanding to talk and basically told my fiancé that if she didn't break up with me, it was proof that she didn't actually love me and was just using me for my money. Her reasoning was that since I'm still connected to my ex, I will be unhappy with anyone who is not my ex, and if my fiancé cared about me, she would leave me so I could be with my ex. I confronted my sister and ended up deciding to go out of contact with her and anyone who agreed with her. More information is in the comments. 1. I believe my sister is siding with my ex for religious reasons. I think even if the roles were reversed, my sister still wouldn't side with me unless I was still in the faith and went to their church, and my ex didn't, instead of the reverse how it is now. 2. The alleged biodad skipped town and ghosted everyone, even his parents and siblings. My family and hers doesn't trust the government, in my opinion, I just think they're at least somewhat self-aware of how crazy this is, and that the courts would never side with them. And so they would rather go through God and the church. Which means me, the ex-husband who still lives in town, would be easier, I guess. They've tried to get me to meet the kid a few times throughout the years, but I've always shut that down. 3. The kid was born before my fiancé and I met, so that wouldn't be a problem. But there's no way I'm the father. We haven't been together since I filed for divorce. She tried to get me to sleep with her multiple times during the divorce process, but I declined. And the kid was born several years after that, so there's just no way. If she tries to go to the courts saying I'm the father, then I would get a test done. But until then, I'm just ignoring her. 4. Like I said before, if the kid was mine, cheating wouldn't be an issue. But my ex did accuse me of cheating on my fiancée after I met her at the coffee shop. The only people who would believe that are the people I've stopped contacting. I would only look into a lawyer if either she or my sister harasses us again, or maybe if she goes to social media. 5. Same to 4. We've already told them that if they come after us again, we'll go after a restraining order or something similar if they push things further. I think that's why they haven't done anything else crazy, besides the passively aggressive Facebook post about how hard it is to be a single mom during the holidays and how she wishes men were better so her Christ-like home could be completed. 6. I've told her that lol. She didn't think of it then, because she's never really had any situation like that and didn't know if it warranted that. I told her yes, trespassing is illegal. For now, we're just trying to ignore them, while also hypocritically keeping an eye on them to make sure they don't catch us by surprise. We moved up our wedding date and are looking at houses in California, so we can be out of the area sooner. It's been nice not having to deal with my family constantly now that most of them are blocked, and all the support here, while unexpected, has been a relief. I was questioning my mental sanity for a while. Thanks, Retokus 3. Info out of curiosity. How many people in your family have you blocked so far? OP10, including my sister. This is because I also block the spouse of the person. I've also blocked 2 couples that I'm friends with, not anymore, that I'm not related to. Queen Rosa. Information. What race and religion are you, your ex, and your fiancé? Curious as to why your family is so pro your ex and anti your fiancé. What does your ex have that your fiancé has in their eyes? OP. I'm half Korean, half white European and agnostic. My ex is white European and Christian, very specific church, but if I say what it is, it would be fairly easy for anyone to find me and my family. And my fiancé is white European and somewhat agnostic, but does have some fluid spiritual beliefs. My fiancé is also a divorcee. She divorced her ex-husband because he had an affair, and apparently that is not a good enough reason. I know 3 people, including my sister, who have forgiven their spouses for cheating. My fiancé has a very extensive rock collection hobby, does yoga easy on the joints, and burns incense. It smells good. And my family has seen a few Facebook posts about witches and thinks she's one. In their eyes, it means she's worshipping the devil. More Winebers. Your sister and family's reaction makes a lot of sense with your edit to the first post, that they're all part of a religion that doesn't believe in divorce. Like the other commenters, I was wondering what your family was on until I read the edit. I'm glad your fiancé is in your corner. I am not versed in what it takes to get a restraining order, no contact order, or something similar. But maybe start looking into something like that for your ex-wife. It's too bad that her son's biodad isn't in the picture, but you literally have nothing to do with that. And you're right, having kids is not a thing to try and see if you like it. Because there is no undo button without tragedy, trauma, and/or at least one person going to jail for murder. Second story. I just found out my wife of 6 years is actually my biological sister. But she didn't know, and she might die soon. We also have 2 kids already. I decided to get tested to see if I could donate my kidneys to my 6-year-old wife. We have 2 kids together, 4F, 2M. My wife got sick just after our son was born, and is now in need of a kidney transplant. We checked with her relatives, and none were a match or a viable donor. Last week, I got tested. I knew it would be a long shot, so I decided to get tested to see if I could donate. I got a call the other day saying that I was a match. The doctor then said something about wanting to do additional testing due to some information from the HLA tissue test results. I didn't think much of it and agreed. Then the results came in. I was shocked and confused. He explained that because of how DNA information is passed down through generations, a parent and child could have at least a 50% match. Siblings could have a 0-100% match. It was rare to have a high match as husband and wife. I asked what that meant. He said that my wife and I have an abnormally high match percentage. Long story short, We were related. No, I'm not kidding. I was put up for adoption before I was born. I was placed in a family that moved across the country. I knew I was adopted, but we didn't have any information about my biological family. It was a closed adoption. I met my wife by chance 8 years ago. I was on a trip from work, and she was working at the site I went to. We worked together for a week. We exchanged numbers and kept in touch. I was sent back there 3 more times that year, and each time we became closer. I was given the opportunity to be transferred out there in a new, higher-paying position in a different department than hers. The rest is history. I don't know what to do moving forward, but I know it may be wrong. She is my wife and the mother of our kids. This post is probably going to get removed, but it is all true. TLDR. My wife of 6 years needs a kidney. I got tested, and we have an abnormally high match percentage for being husband and wife. Edit. Look at the name. All of my family is the result of my adopted parents. My parents adopted me 2 minutes after I was born. Their name is on my birth certificate. They have not told me anything about my biological parents and don't have any information. Her family is not a match, as stated above. Most of her family has low match potential or can't donate due to medical or other reasons. I am 2 years older than my wife. I do know that my wife was born when her parents were in their late teens. Update 2 weeks later. Yes, I know I misspelled it. Yes, I do have bad grammar and spelling. Yes, I am stressed and freaking out. Yes, I can play the banjo. No, there was no genetic test when we got married. Our state stopped that in the 1990s. No, my wife has never been stuck in the dryer, but she once got stuck under the bed. The reason I did not go into too much detail is to try not to be so specific that I or my wife might be recognized. Well, the front page of Reddit didn't help with that. Thank you all for your comments and feedback. I didn't respond to them, but I did read all of them. The reason her family couldn't donate was that close relatives had some medical issues that prevented them from donating. Examples: high blood pressure, diabetes, cancer, heavy drinkers, and more. The further out we tested, the less of a match. I wanted to be tested because we needed to find someone. The doctor said it would be unlikely, but wouldn't hurt to try. I was freaking out after I got the news and had to get outside advice. When the doctor said that the percentage was abnormally high and that we might be related, I kind of zoned out and started to piece things together in my mind. My parents live 1,000 miles away. They met my in-laws a few times. Once at my wedding, and when both my children were born. My children are fine. My daughter is incredibly smart for her age. My son is a handful and healthy. The way my adoption worked was when my biological mom gave birth to me. I was checked out and put in a different room. I was there, but don't know how it officially worked. From what my parents explained, they were in that room waiting. They never met my biological mom in person. My bio mom only had a profile and picked them out of many candidates. I called my parents and told them that I needed to know everything they knew about my biological mom. They told me that they had limited knowledge. They said she was a single mom who was 16 years old. The father was not in the picture. Also, I was born in a hospital 1 hour from where my wife was born. Like I said, I have limited knowledge. Growing up, I didn't want to find out about my biological parents. To me, my parents were always my parents. I knew I was adopted and that it was a closed adoption. I figure it wouldn't matter long term. I'm not going to do an additional at-home DNA test through any of the traditional testing sites, like 23 or Ancestry, due to personal reasons, like the possibility of the family finding out. The doctor said all of this to only me, not with my wife present. Some of the additional tests were done by the doctor, which was the CM test. I'm not an expert on DNA testing. They said it was like a 19+ CM match. This basically confirms one of my bio parents is one of hers. It can also mean first cousins, aunts, or uncles. I'm guessing her dad. When my kids were born, my parents brought photos of me as a baby and commented that I and my son looked a lot like my wife's dad. My son was easily explainable, but all 3 of us have a different story. I'm not going to bring this up again. I might look at my Phil differently, but nothing will hopefully change. I hope none of the family goes on Reddit and connects the dots. I am donating my kidney to my wife. We have started the full process. That takes time and a lot of preparation. I plan on talking to my wife after the surgery and after recovery. We will decide what to do with our kids. If we are going to get them tested or ever tell them. I will not be leaving my wife. I love her and will always be there for her. I made vows and I will keep them. I love her more than I would a half-sister. TLDR, I'm donating my kidneys to my wife. who is most likely my paternal half-sister. Ida, I do plan on telling her after the surgery. She is not doing well, and I think this will be even harder for her. I would rather her know that I love her as a husband than flip her world upside down right before life-changing and dangerous surgery. If something were to happen, telling our kids is not a decision I'm going to make on my own. It will be a joint thing after my wife knows. Update on his profile. Part 1. Again, English is my first language. I'm just bad at it. People still think this is fake, and that is okay. It is my life, not yours. In the long term, it only affects my life, not yours. Okay, first, my wife and I did go through with a transplant. We are both recovering, or have recovered well now. My wife is the healthiest she has been since just after our son was born. I have tried to write this update about a gazillion times. Hopefully, I can finish this one without missing anything and try to give details in order. This will probably be my only update. Thanks to the people who reached out and shared their personal experiences and advice with the transplant. It helped, so I kept to my original plan. I did not tell my wife about the possibility of us being related until after the surgery. Before the surgery, my parents came into town as soon as they could. It really helps to have a big family support system like we have. The days leading up to the surgery seemed like there just wasn't enough time in the day for everything. With 900 doctor appointments, getting things prepared for worst-case scenarios, researching, setting up my parents and other family in our house to watch our kids, and just spending time together as a family. The doctors were fantastic and laid everything out in a professional but relatable fashion. They answered all the questions and concerns we had leading up to, during, and post-op. There were a ton of questions. It was one of the best feelings to see my wife hopeful for the first time in a long time. I knew I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I took that away from her. In the days leading up, I decided I was going to write a letter to my wife if things went bad for me, but she survived. I wrote her 6 pages. I have small handwriting. In it, I told her how much I loved her, how much she changed me from the moment we met. She was my universe, but also how sorry I was for keeping a secret from her and lying to her. I went into details about what I found out over the last week, how we might be related, and all the evidence. I gave it to my parents to give to her if something were to happen to me. But if we both didn't make it, then read it with my in-laws. I also made other letters. The surgery went well for both of us. They said my organs look mighty fine. The transplant worked out rather quickly for my wife, and her body accepted it. I ended up scratching my eye pretty bad, and they put an eye patch on me. So when I saw my wife for the first time, her first words to me were, "The doctors knew we were here for the kidney, right? Recovery overall sucks." There was virtually no position that was comfortable. Shout out to the persons who recommended sleeping in a recliner, using stuffed animals my kids picked out as comfortable pillows, and more. I felt like a baby because my wife never complained and was healing well and taking it easy. On the other hand, I am not so smart and decided I should go against doctor's orders. I did not take it easy, and I ended up having to go to the ER and have secondary surgery to repair the damage I caused. Please listen to your medical professionals. Part 2. During recovery, my wife got into TikTok and Reddit. Well, after a while, she found a little post that made it way bigger than I ever intended. Looking back, I should have been more careful. Thanks for all the interaction, and thanks to the ladies at 2 Hot Takes. My wife loves you guys. During this time, she started to ask more in-depth questions about my adoption. My parents were still at the house at this point. Parents answered all the questions. My wife used the excuse of wanting to put a memory book together for our kids and wanted to include a family history of us growing up, including our parents who raised us. She knew most of this information but wanted more details. She asked her dad about more details of his childhood, how he met my Mill, and if my Mill was his first relationship. She knew some, but I was learning a lot. Also, as a reminder, my wife was born when her parents were older teens. I'm older than her. He said Mill was not his first relationship. We ended up pulling out his old yearbooks from high school, and he showed us the girl who was his first real relationship. I knew she was probably my biological mom. I could see the features that I have in her. He told us about the fond memories he had of her. He said their relationship ended because of her parents, and he never saw her again. He tried finding out what happened to her, but couldn't before the internet. Shortly after that, he asked out my Mill, and here we are. We got my Phil side, then my Mill said, "Now let me tell you how it really happened." She proceeded to tell us a different story that was more believable. Nothing about all of this was a red flag, indicating that my wife knew my secret. But after that visit, I felt extremely guilty. She was healthier than she had been in years, out of the major danger zone. So I had no real excuse not to tell her anymore. It took me 2 additional weeks to finally tell her. She noticed I was acting off and finally asked me if I was okay. I said I needed to talk to her about something serious, possibly life-altering, and potentially a relationship-ending topic. But I love her, and will do absolutely everything she decides to do from that point forward. She told me that was not a good start to a conversation, and asked if I wanted to try again. So I gave her the letter I had written before the surgery. She went from curious, happy, crying, intense concentration to unreadable. In my head, I basically handed her divorce papers, and I would never see her or my kids again. Our life that we have built just got nuked. I'm dramatic in my head. When I get nervous, I paced back and forth. When she finished reading it, she took a moment, then came over to me and stopped me from pacing. Said to look at her, smile with a genuine smile and say, "You are the dumbest, smartest person I know." Then kissed me. This started a long conversation. She came across my first post after the surgery and found it oddly specific to our situation. Even though I changed some facts and circumstances, she connected the dots. This started her trying to find out if it was true, and if I would eventually tell her, continue to lie, or hide it from her. She reassured me that it changed nothing in our relationship. She is my wife. I am her husband. She will always have a piece of me with her at all times. She said, like a bunch of comments, that she doesn't view it as wrong, because we did not grow up together. We didn't know. And it is a bit too late to back out now. We decided to have our kids do genetic testing when they are more age appropriate. Mainly for the unknown of my being adopted. We are not for now or possibly ever telling anyone. We also looked up who we now suspect is my biological mom. What we found was that she ended up passing a few years ago due to being a drunk driver. Don't drink and drive. But I possibly have 2 other half-sisters. So I have dating options down the road if needed. My wife hit me when I told her this. The kids are doing really well. All they know is that mommy is doing better, enjoying spending more time with her, and having the extra energy and playfulness that she hasn't had in a while. They are doing really well. So, all in all, the best case scenario happened. The only thing I would change is if the doctors told you to take it easy and gave you proper medical advice. Follow it. Also, if you are keeping a secret from your wife, don't. They probably know already and are just letting you keep digging the hole deeper. My wife and I are doing really well. We are probably the closest we have been in a long time. I asked her to marry me again. She said she would think about it. I paused for like 5 long seconds, and of course, yes, I will marry you. I'm not as afraid as I was about family members finding or seeing this post. I now have a goddess-like force to have my back if I or we ever get questioned. We have made contingency plans. Like I said, I probably won't update again. I thank you all. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.